Good morning, karibu sana. This is the morning cafe. Nakwambia hakuna furaha kama hii. Leo maniu wanaitwa hapa, kuna ile inasema mnyonge mnyongeni. Leo kuna kunyongwa. Nani ananyongwa leo?
Hayuko hata.
I wish angekuja ule jamaa wa mapenzi.
Leo sasa ni yeye hangepumua. Now that we don't pumua every day kama Arsenal. Lakini today is World Meditation Day. Meditate kule ambapo uko. Lakini sio na ile kitu ambayo wanafanya alafu you know whatever I'm talking about. World Meditation Day, take time to meditate on your life ama whichever thing you want to meditate about. This is Morning Cafe. My name is Anne Odida. Karibu sana.
My name is Fred Ndimulia. Quick look at the headlines. Natembea akaziwa ndio habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. And I like the fact that the governor hapa anakani kama asema bring it on.
Simba.
Kutane pale. Taifa Leo.
People Daily experts want budget to lock out 1 million learners.
All right, that's a People Daily. On the Standard, Ruto's seal grab. And this is a very interesting story. We'll tell you more about it.
Daily Nation, a very, very busy newspaper this morning. Nurses, no one wants. Wako hapo.
I think they should borrow a leaf from their Ugandan counterparts and clean up the front page, to be honest.
Yes.
This is a bit too much.
Very busy.
Yeah. On the Star, IEBC vetting order could trigger crisis. Now this is another, na hii kitu nimeimba mara mingi, nimeimba nikakaa nikaa mimi ndio ni kama mimi sielewi Kenya inaendelea. Sawa imekuja sasa. That's the Star.
Business Daily, Equity sacks workers over suspect accounts and M-Pesa.
All right. For State of the Nation, Senators Joe Nyoto and Eddie Oketch from Murang'a and Migori counties respectively, as well as Nabi Nabwera MP Lugari constituency will be in studio today. Starting at 6:30, to stand by for that conversation. Tuvuke boda, hayawi mwishowe yakawa. Daily Monitor, goodbye rule of law till we meet again. That's soma hiyo tena. Goodbye rule of law till we meet again. Easy pass. NRM MPs yesterday passed the bill seeking to return civilians to be tried in the army courts, but failed to clear up fuzzy clauses on what defines exceptional circumstances for their trial and what should be considered a military attire, as opposition members walked out in protest. Pages 4, 5, 6 and 8 of this paper dedicated to this story. Musema, sahi mutafanya vile mnataka. As MPs of NRM. Museme civilians should be tried. Hiyo itakuja kukukula wewe. Yes. Wewe ndio utakuwa tried kwa hiyo court martial.
Kenya kwanza wa huko.
Alafu the other thing ni military attire. You know Bobby Wine anaitwa Chagulani ama nani? Wanavaa ile kofia red. Waliambiwa that's military attire.
So wanafaa watoe.
Ndio sasa wamesema waambiwa watoe. Lakini trying civilians in a military court, hawa MPs ndio watakuwa tried up. I tell you. It will always bite you. Come back to bite you. That's the main story on the front page of the Daily Monitor. Other quick highlights. Frail Eddie Mutwe, that's Bobby Wine's bodyguard who had disappeared, sent to Luzira prison. Retirement benefit schemes record an upward growth, and the race for Kamwenge boils down to services. That's the Daily Monitor in Uganda today.
Tukisalia kule Uganda, as always.
Picha ya Museveni akisalamia ng'ombe iko hapo. Lazima tu kuwe na picha ya Museveni. Na anapenda mambo ya agriculture, akikata kitunguu, ndizi, salamia ng'ombe. Hiyo lazima ikuwe tu kwa front page ya gazeti.
Anywho, how UPDF bill was passed, opposition legislators storm out of parliament. That story on civilians to be tried in military courts. Of course, PDM central to NRM's wealth creation strategy. Museveni yuko hapo chini na bibi yake, of course.
Alienda kuona ng'ombe. Yeah.
Wealth necessary for gospel pastor patients, a special feature there. And succession, tough fines for estate administrators. Kule chini, Kagezi killer reveals person who brokered deal. Kagezi ni yule former DPP wa Uganda kule. And exports to China increased by 190%. That's
very positive.
The new vision, yes.
190% exports. Meanwhile in Kenya zimeenda chini sababu tulifunga ile nini ya titanium. All right. Tuvuke boda tuingie Bongo na there's a Kenyan there featuring on the front page. Sababu Martha Karua wenzake kupigwa stop. Sasa hapo wamecheza kama wakaweka English word kwa headline. Wenzake wamepigwa stop. Martha Karua kwa pale. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili wa gazeti hili la Mwananchi. Lakini habari kuu pale, bunge la tulizwa kuingilia JWTZ. Hii ni jeshi la wananchi wa Tanzania. Ni kuhusu sharti la vijana kupita JKT kuandikishwa kazi jeshini. So bunge la tulizwa kuingilia masuala ya jeshi, wanaambiwa military go slow. Hiyo sio yenu. Mawimbi kukomaza kuimaliza Chadema. Chadema by the way wako na shida mingi sana. It's only months to election, their main leader is in prison. Wako na cracks kule, kuna ile G55, kuna ile Chauma. Sioni wakishinda hiyo election. Kusema tu kweli poleni, lakini mumeweza.
Sympathy votes?
Hakuna sympathy hapo.
Okay.
Kikwete siri ya ushindi wa Janabi WHO. Oh, so it was Kikwete who actually intervened, probably, according to this paper. Kule juu, Chauma yachochea mjadala wa kisiasa. Na hii imeleta shida sana hata kwenye Chadema, Chauma. Gazeti la Mwananchi kule Tanzania.
Tukisalia kule The Citizen, Finnish president adds new global order with Africa as equal partner. And President of Finland, Alexander Stubb, spoke candidly about free trade and the shifting global order, emphasizing that the future of global growth lies on the African continent, a region that must be engaged not merely as a market but as a true partner. Alikuwa huku kwetu pia.
Hapa nasema, if the global economic order is changing, and I believe it is, then the most effective response is greater regional integration.
Yes.
Hapa tuko na EAC. Mnaona kama kuna integration?
Tunapigana tu.
Walituambia tumewapea stop. Musiingie huko kwetu.
Anasema by working together within regional blocks, countries can pool resources, build resilience and strengthen their collective bargaining power. We are strengthening our diplomatic ties na watu wa Asia, lakini sisi wenyewe huku nyumbani. Hata
majirani wanafaa wakubali sisi tuwafunze a few things like masuala ya siasa na masuala ya kupiga kelele.
Hiyo vurugu wamesema tuache hapa, tusipeleke kwa wengine.
Vurugu wasema wamechoka kwenu, msikuje kwetu.
Inside TZ, successful WHO campaign for Janabi.
Kwani wata celebrate miaka ngapi?
Lazima hata
the whole week. Huyu jamaa alipata kazi last week. Wacheni afanye kazi. Kila siku Janabi.
Unajua WHO ni nini? WHO is big.
Sasa kama baba angepata AU atunge jamaza huko. Lazima tu move on.
Tumekuwa tunasema the AU chairperson every now and then.
Alipata hivi.
Samia welcomes Dr. Netumbo. President Samia Suluhu Hassan welcomes her Namibian counterpart, that is the president of Namibia. Anaitwa Netumbo kule. And TANAPA dismisses Ruaha poaching incident claims. On the top strip, defense budget up nearly 10% as recruitment policy triggers debate. And that's The Citizen.
All right. Those are the regional papers. We'll be back to take a look at the local ones in depth. For now, tuangazie hali ya anga. Na tunaanzia hapa kwenye zoom.earth. Tuone kama kuna mawingu yanayotanda humu nchini na kwingineko kwenye bara la Afrika. So, wacha tujaribu tuone kwa umbali vile the continent is looking in terms of cloud cover. And you can see dots of cloud cover in areas around Ivory Coast on the western side of the country, of the continent, and probably on the northern part. Generally, there's very little cloud cover over Africa, yeah, in comparison to areas like India. Angalia vile wanakaa China, huko ni cloud, kunanyesha deadly. When you come back to Africa, very little cloud cover. The Americas also have a bit of clouds. So let's expand this and take a look at the East African region. Nothing much in the areas of northern Eastern Africa, Ethiopia, South Sudan, not much. But East Africa, hapa chini ukiingia Uganda, a bit of cloud cover in Uganda, and especially over the Lake Victoria region. Kenya, not much cloud cover. Kiangalia, sio mimi nimesema, hii ni sayansi. So tukuje nyumbani tuangalie. Tuanzie Narok. 14 degrees Celsius, partly cloudy. Chances of rain later in the day, highs of 23 degrees. In as far as the rainfall is concerned, 2.5 millimeters of rain in Narok. So kama unaenda Masai Mara, utanyesha watu kidogo lakini bado utaona simba.
Kitale, it's 15 degrees as we speak, feels like it. Rain likely to come at around 1 p.m. Highs of 26 degrees today in Kitale, and precipitation here is 13.2 millimeters.
Huko kuna mvua.
This one is heavy.
Proper. And they need that rain. Najua sasa natembea amekasirika na watu kule walikuwa wamechacharuka. Walikuwa sema wamecharuka. Mvua kidogo yenye wanyeshewa punguze kidagi. Garissa, 24 degrees, clear skies today, highs of 36 degrees. 0 millimeters of rainfall there. But a very hot day in Garissa. In Mombasa,
Kule Coast, 26 degrees, feels like 29, partly cloudy through the day, highs of 29, and precipitation here is 2.3 millimeters, showers of blessing. Hii hata ni tone tu ya maji.
Kidogo. Tumeangalia Mombasa,
Yes. Nairobi.
Nairobi, 16 degrees Celsius, mostly cloudy throughout the day, highs of 25 degrees, and that's at around 2 p.m. Huku ingine 24 tunachezea hapo 23 kidogo kidogo hapa na pale. Precipitation 1.0 millimeters. So leo hakuna mvua. Jana usiku kulinyesha na tulikuwa tunangoja.
Hata asubuhi.
Kumenyesha.
Very heavily jana.
Sawa. All right. That's the weather situation. Tuangazie hali ya traffic hapa. Exactly 12 minutes past 6. Major tributaries into town looking clear. Ngoja uone ikipotea basi alafu irudi. Basi nikwambia tu. Teknolojia. Na tunarudi mpaka Ruiru pale China Square nini, Thika Road inakuja nywe past Garden City nywe, ikifika tu pale Muthaiga Pangani interchange ndio inaleta shida kama kawaida, lakini mapema sana. I don't understand why. Siku hizi hii area around Pangani ina build up very fast in the morning, but it means watu wamejitokeza wanaenda kazini. That's a good thing. Jogoo Road kidogo tu pale Makadara, just something small. After that it's green all the way into town. Ukiingia town pale ndio unapata Haile Selassie around Marikiti kidogo tu both sides of the road, railway bus station, sababu watu wameanza kuingia town saa hii. Eastern side of the city, Kangundo Road is looking green on both sides of the road. Kwani leo ni ile siku ya working from home. Outer Ring Road, Fedha, Tasia, matatu ziko pale, watu wanangojewa waende kazi. Amkeni muende kazini. Mombasa Road looking good all the way past Imara Daima, Next Gen Mall, Capital Center into the CBD. Southern Bypass looking good. Langata Road, nothing to worry about. Mbagathi Way, Ngong Road, na kule kwingine wanaitwaje, wale watu wanatoka upandelea Western, Waiyaki Way into town, it's looking good. So shida tu ni hapa Pangani interchange. That's the problem. Kama kawaida.
And yesterday what was happening?
Jana, but today is better because yesterday it had gone as far back as KCA University at this time of day.
All right, let's take a look at the quote of the day. Without questioning our choices, beliefs, and actions, life loses meaning. True fulfillment arises from self-reflection, conscious growth, and understanding our purpose in this world.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies. Natembea akaziwa ndio habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Taifa Leo. Gavana achiliwa kwa dhamana ya shilingi milioni nusu, lakini azuiliwa kuingia afisini kwa siku 60. Kusafiri nje ya nchi hawezi. Gavana wa Trans Nzoia George Natembeya jana aliachiliwa kwa dhamana ya shilingi 500,000 pesa taslimu baada ya kukanusha mashtaka yanayohusiana na ufisadi, lakini chini ya masharti makali. Lakini swali ni kama walikuwa na evidence enough, mbona mnamwambia asiingie ofisini? Atafanya kazi namna gani? Kama hafai kuwa gavana, si basi asikuwe gavana. Hii mimi naweza enda kotini, hiyo koti nyingine niseme hapana. Hii siku 60, lakini anyway, koti imeamua. Vidokezo zaidi kwenye kurasa wa mbele. Israeli yaua wa Palestina Gaza licha ya pingamizi. Watetezi wa haki walaani Tanzania. Wanaharakati wamekosoa hatua ya Tanzania kwa furusha kuzuilia wa Kenya. Na mguni ponye kwa mbunge mkutanoni. Huyu ni mbunge wa Madera Eric Wamombi. Jana alilazimika kutoroka umati mjini Karatina. Karatina ndio wa Munyoro.
Mbona wanaguza mlima?
Ndio mbunge wa Munyoro. Mbunge wa Munyoro alitoroka mbio jana, kurasa wa 3. Pale juu, shimo la deni la Ruto lazidi akikopa trilioni 1.4. Hii ukipeleka Tanzania ama Uganda, hii ni budget yao. Hii ni kama deni tu yetu ina serve Ugandan budget.
Lakini nani atalipa hiyo kitu?
Ni wewe tu utalipa. Rais William ukilipa deni yako ile nyingine uko naye, ile ya Mama Shile ya Kwashe. Unajua uko na deni hapa. Rais William Ruto alikuwa amekopa trilioni 1.4 kufikia Desemba 31 mwaka jana, akionekana kwenda kinyume na ahadi yake ya kukomesha mtindo wa kutegemea mikopo kuendesha mipango ya serikali. Habari zaidi kwenye kurasa wa 3. Ujue tu ukilipa deni lako la mama mboga, kuna trilioni 1.4 zinakungoja pia.
Wanatumia kiti na fridge kulipa.
Tumie na TV kulipa. Mnyonge mnyongeni finali leo. Aha, mnyonge wanajulikana ni wanyonge hawa. Mnyonge mnyongeni finali leo. Macho yote leo usiku yataelekezwa ugani San Mames, Uhispania, wakati ile timu ya wanyonge. Unajua sisi nimewaita wanyonge. Ni gazeti la Taifa wanasema ni mnyonge mnyongeni. Tottenham Hotspur according to Arsenal au ni wanyonge. Na wale wanyonge wengine wa kule Manchester. Manchester United. Wanyonge wanakutana kule Hispania, San Mames. Wanyonge wanyongeni. Gazeti la Taifa leo.
People Daily. Experts warn budget to lock out 1 million learners. Tukiangalia tu ndani wanasema civil society organizations in the education sector yesterday raised a red flag over budget gaps that of course threatened to lock out over 1 million learners from schools, even as Parliament closed the window for public participation yesterday. And by last evening, they say, the groups were hoping Parliament would adopt a raft of proposals, most advocating for greater education funding, a conducive learning environment, improved learner welfare, and prudent use of allocated resources. Now, in the budget policy statement for the 2025 and 2026 financial year, education has been allocated an estimated 656.6 billion shillings. But Organizations United under the Elimu Bora Working Group lamented that much of this money is not used for its intended purpose.
Where? Maswala ya elimu, this one will bring a problem. Yes. I can tell you for sure. Capitation funds are not going there as fast as it should. Now there are serious budget cuts in that sector. At a time when the very first cohort of CBC learners are yet to transition to high school.
Yeah.
What exactly will happen?
Rot that is tutor promotions at TSC still matters education. That story is on page 5. Other stories here. Ndindi raises alarm of a state plan to invest pension funds. Tangu watoe Ndindi Nyoro pale budget.
Anachoma.
Guinness World Record approves Kenyan girl to hug tree for 72 hours. But then you know hugging trees inasaidia kwa mental health. Na kutouch grass.
Unajua nimeona hiyo nikakumbuka kuna mtu aliniambia go hug a cactus. Angeniambia go hug a tree. Hug a tree for 72 hours?
Yes. Hata mimi nitakwambia hug a tree. Na unajua leo tunaongelea mental health. Yes.
Go hug a tree
na walk barefoot and grass.
We wish her all the best as she seeks to break this Guinness World Record for hugging a tree for continuous 72 hours.
Oh wow.
Hata ukisikia usingizi unaishika tu.
Another hapo.
Well, interesting.
People Daily.
People Daily. Ruto's seal grab, another 3-word headline on the front page of the Standard. So wanasema a quietly passed law transferring the public seal, which is a symbol of government authority, from the Attorney General's office to the President's Chief of Staff, may have troubling implications. Legal experts now fear that giving the President unchecked control over such a powerful instrument could enable deals bypassing the Attorney General and other key institutions, undermining the national principle of power sharing among branches of government. And you know, the public seal is a very important thing. It is one of those things that are handed over to the President. Akipewa ile sword, anapewa hadi seal anapewa. So the public seal is a symbol, like a stamp, used to authenticate official documents. To represent a government, it is a way to show that a document is real and legitimate, usually affixed to important papers like decrees and contracts. In Kenya, the public seal is one of the national symbols, along with the national flag, anthem, and coat of arms. Now, you know, these are some of the things that need to be taught in school. Kitambo tulikuwa nafanya civic education. GHC, geography, history, and civics. No, unaulizwa who's the minister for education, who's the Speaker of the National Assembly, who's the Speaker of the East Africa Legislative Assembly. Siku hizi watu wafanyi. Now, these are the things you need to be taught in a civics class, because even coat of arms, many Kenyans do not understand what it is.
Sasa inafunzwa pale history class, ama it's not there at all.
Civics, I don't know if civics
is not there.
Ulifanya GHC?
No, civics is not there.
I did GHC.
Now it's in history.
There was a lot of patriotism back then. Unajua loyalty pledge?
Of course.
I pledge my loyalty to the President and the nation of Kenya.
Ninajua lakini nimesahau.
Endeleza hapo. My readiness and duty to defend the flag of our republic.
Unajua mimi nilikuwa scout.
My devotion to the words of our national anthem.
Who is old now?
So I think this is a very good opportunity for Kenyans to understand what this seal is about and other national symbols, the flag, the coat of arms, and the public seal. Away from that, and this is a story that I think people really need to focus on. 2027 general election at stake. IEBC warns. The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission has told the Apex Court, this is a Supreme Court, that failing to carry out, listen, constitutional exercise of redrawing electoral boundaries before the next elections will render the ballot invalid. Niliimba hii kitu nililia the whole of last year when we were crossing mpaka director ananiambia hapana, hiyo story ni mzee. Ndio hii kimekuja kuwaramba.
Reality check.
Kimekuja kuwaramba. Ndio hii sasa. Ile story ya Lollipop bado iko hapa ndani page 3. Lawyer wins sacking case over Lollipop nicknames. Huyu lawyer aliita jamaa fulani, and it's a lady. A city lawyer has successfully challenged her termination from employment over sexual harassment claims, which were based on her alleged reference to a former colleague as baby boy, Lollipop, and baby boy Lollipop. Aliita jamaa kazini baby boy Lollipop, akafutwa kazi. Ameenda kotini,
ameshinda kesi. Sasa anarudi kazi tena.
Sasa sijui watafanya nini. Sasa sijui kama atakubali aendelee kuwaita baby boy Lollipop.
Alipata compensation. Ile it was 1 million?
Kama alipata kakitu. And that's the standard today.
All right. Business Daily Nation. Nurses no one wants. Now crisis, workers tossed between counties and Afya House. They put their lives on the line to help patients in isolation wards likened to death chambers during COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. 5 years later, the medics are enduring months without pay, the life of penury plunging some into depression and suicide. Why have authorities been so mean to them? Hawa tu tulisema wana protest every month, 5 years. Hawajapatiwa ile permanent and pensionable, they're not getting salaries and their working conditions, of course, are very, very wanting. Na wako hapa, tunaona Miriam Washera, Muranga, David Singili, Jacqueline Deritu, wako hapa wote, UHC workers wale wa COVID-19 pandemic, those who put their life in danger. Other stories here, outrageous public schools run on empty and institutions forced to scale down operations after government failed to wire capitation money. Day high schools most affected by cash crunch as they fully rely on government funding. And 70% is the percentage of learners who attend day secondary schools that are struggling the most. New City Hall rules to limit number of matatus per route, and Governor Johnson Sakaja's administration proposes sweeping matatu reforms amid uproar from operators. On the top strip, corruption case, Natembeya freed but barred from county office. And 25,000 promoted teachers to wait longer for parks as a standoff persists. Page 6. On the back page, it is all systems go for Kip Keino Classic Meet. 6th edition will be held at Ulinzi Sports Complex that needs upgrading. And Mike Doughty, Rocket Safari Rally winner, who returned to manage the iconic car race. That is an obituary for Mike Doughty. And that's the Daily Nation.
The Daily Nation to the Star, IEBC vetting order could trigger crisis. Now this is a double. These are different crises from the one we've talked about. Failure to conduct delimitation of boundaries could actually invalidate, and there's an opinion from a lawyer before the Supreme Court because it's required to give an advisory opinion on that. The fact that we failed, we defined the constitution in as far as the deadline is concerned, na tukajaribu kujifanya ni kama tujui hiyo story, wacha ipite, hiyo imeenda hivyo. Supreme Court lazima itaongea pale kuna crisis. Ya pili ni hii, court ilisema vetting bunge ya IEBC hakuna, could trigger another crisis. Further delay will plunge poll cycle into turmoil. And I'm actually seeing, jana kuna wanu wa panelists alisema ni kama tunapanga kuchange election date. Sababu vile kunaenda sioni IEBC ikikuja, na hata ikikuja sijui kama itakuwa na enough time. Kuna hii crisis na kuna hiyo ingine. Nilisema
2030.
Bias rocks TSC as teachers get promoted twice. That's a story on page 8 of this paper. Hapa chini President William Ruto jana alikuwa naimba wimbo wakifungua nyumba kule Bukuru. Ruto hands over 1,080 units to new home owners in Nairobi. Lakini nimeona argument mingi sana kule social media. Walipopost president akiimba ametutendea fani, watu wanaambia hii kitu ni Uhuru alianzisha.
Hajatenda.
Acha mambo yako wewe. It's the front page of the Star. Pale juu Kalonzo shifts gears, turning Wiper into a new front for 2027 polls. And Natembeya blocked from accessing office in 6 million shilling graft case. 6 million, surely? 6 million? Fresh, independent, different. That's a Star. You can grab yourself a copy. 60 bob. Unasoma mambo mengi sana hapa.
Business Daily. Equity sacks workers over suspect accounts and M-Pesa. Nasema Equity Bank has fired scores of workers after an internal investigation revealed suspicious transactions through the employees' bank and M-Pesa accounts. The sacking began last week following investigations that kicked off on April 14 as the bank seeks to curb cases of conflict of interest among its staff. Ikitu inaongelewa sana pale social media. Sitaki kusema Equity wanafanyanga ni social media, Twitter wanasemanga. And so the investigation focused on employees who received cash from customers or other entities linked to the bank, including workmates, into their salary accounts at Equity Bank or their registered M-Pesa numbers. Kenya Power cleared to buy 1.2 billion shillings transformers in Tendaro. On the ticker, M-Pesa payment from contractors cited in Natembeya graft case. An M-Pesa payment from a contractor wired from a dummy bank account is behind the graft charges leveled against Trans Nzoia Governor George Natembeya. Court filings reveal only 6 million shillings. Treasury to amend budget for a third time on revenue shortfall, and Stanbic seizes 1 billion shillings assets from defaulters. And that's the Business Daily.
All right. However, Treasury is set to present the third supplementary estimates. Even before we discuss the next one.
Yes. When
I present supplementary budget from last year's budget, days to go before the end of the financial year. Inaitwa Kenya. Just a reminder that these are the gentlemen who will be here for State of the Nation, a discussion about the headlines. Joe Nyoto, Senator Murang'a, Eddie Oketch, Senator Migori, and Nabina Bwera, MP Lugari constituency. Do stand by for that conversation starting at 6:30. Tuangazie karakacha sasa. Nalikuwa uniambia za leo ni kama uzielewe. Tuanze na the cartoon on the Standard. And this one has two people, the Senate on one side and the National Assembly on the other, who look like they are in a very heated argument. Pale chini Mama Mboga amekaa pale na maneno ya constitution amendments. You know, no single attempt to amend this constitution has been successful. What tunazungumza ni kama tumechange mambo mengi. Hakuna kitu tumegeuza kwa hiyo katiba hata, because it's not so easy. So National Assembly na Senate wako hapo wanangangana, tutafanya hapa chini. Constitutional amendments zimekwama.
It's locked.
Yes. That's the Standard.
Daily Nation. Ruto critics wanapigana hapa between the police and EACC, tug of war.
Unaona ameshika nini? Miguu ya huyu jamaa. Ruto critics wanavuruta upande moja na police, upande mwingine na EACC. Lakini anatembea Ruto critics wanakuliwa na polisi na EACC pande zote.
Kila watu anamngangania.
Sasa hii ni mambo ya kuraruliwa na hizi bulldogs. Lakini unajua ni bulldog kwa nini? Toothless bulldog. Kwanza hii hainanga meno. Toothless bulldog. Afadhali hao.
Okay.
That's the People Daily.
The Star bado wako hapa, hao ambao wanafinywa, wanapigwa nyundo. Peter Salasya, Bees. Peter Salasya, George Natembeya, and of course the latest pia Rigiji pale, lakini imeangukia sana Natembeya.
Unajua unaona hapo anasema responding to. Remember that famous statement by PLO Lumumba. It's akin to responding to a mosquito bite with a hammer. Ndio hawa ni mosquito bite, lakini una respond na hammer ya kutini. Ni kama government critics. This is the same theme as the one on the People Daily. You're responding to a mosquito bite with a hammer. Same thing, and you can actually tell. 3 cartoons, same theme. Because this one also talks about political suspect, na amefunguliwa mashtaka mengi sana na polisi, wamefungua file na ile inaitwaje hii cabinet ya files na charges. Lakini huyu polisi mwenye anafanya hivyo is being manipulated as a marionette. You can see strings being pulled by someone else who's not seen. Yes. So the theme is the same. Discussions around what is happening to government critics. That's the main discussion on the cartoons. Later on,
it's still Mental Health Awareness Month, bado May, and we'll be talking two men, lakini gender balance. Ni mimi na Redemptor will be in studio, ladies pekee, psychologists. Talk about why men don't speak up. Why don't you speak up? Of course.
Mimi wanazungumza sana.
Unasema nini?
Ama ni kazi, ama ni sababu nimelipwa kuzungumza.